The Tottenham Hotspur team news ahead of the Nottingham Forest game on Saturday. A Premier League legend has come out and said that Pochettino should not return to Tottenham Hotspur Football Club for a second spell. Reports are stating that Spurs are struggling to convince former Chelsea boss Thomas Tuchel to be their next head coach. And a former Premier League midfielder, now TV pundit, has come out and said, sack Conte now and get Pochettino in. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all keeping well. This is another edition of Tottenham News where I'll be going through all of the latest Spurs news, rumours and reports. If you're watching this on YouTube, please do hit the subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you're listening to this on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. Now, let's start by talking about the Premier League fixtures for this coming weekend. 6 games in the Premier League will take place on Saturday and 4 on Sunday. The 6 games Saturday are as follows. Bournemouth will host Liverpool, Everton against Brentford, Leeds will take on Brighton, Leicester against Chelsea, and then, of course, our game, Tottenham Hotspur against Nottingham Forest, 3 p.m. kickoff at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. The late kick-off on Saturday is Crystal Palace against champions Manchester City. The 4 games on Sunday, Fulham take on league leaders Arsenal, Manchester United host Southampton, West Ham United take on Aston Villa, and Newcastle host Wolves. Going into this weekend, Spurs are 4th in the Premier League table. We've played 26 games. We have won 14, drawn 3 and lost 9. We have a goal difference of plus 10. We have 45 points. Now, the team news for Spurs ahead of the Nottingham Forest clash in the Premier League on Saturday. Eric Dyer is back in contention for Spurs after serving a European ban. However, fellow defender Christian Romero may need to be assessed, having limped off the pitch after being sent off against AC Milan on Wednesday evening. Ivan Perisic and Emerson Royal are doubts, while Yves Bissouma, Hugo Lloris, Ryan Sessegnon and Rodrigo Bentancur are all still sidelined. Now, ahead of the Nottingham Forest game on Saturday, Spurs head coach Antonio Conte has said we have 12 games to go in the Premier League and it will be important to finish in the best possible way. You know, we have to fight against top teams who also want to fight for the top 4, for a place in Europe. But at the same time, we want to stay there, fight, and we will see what happens. Conte then went on to say last season was different. This season, our position is more stable than last season. Then in the last 14 games, we won 10 and made a great achievement. We have to find the right enthusiasm to repeat what we did in the past. It won't be easy because in this race, we find important teams. At the same time, we don't want to give up. We want to fight in every game and give everything. Now we have to play an important game against Forest, put all of our energy onto the pitch and win 3 important points. It won't be easy, but we want to have a good performance. Friday afternoon, Tottenham Hotspur Football Club put out the following announcement. Due to the present and forecast inclement weather conditions in the areas of the UK, on Saturday the 11th of March, the Under-18 Premier League Cup semi-final away to Sheffield United has been postponed. The fixture has been rescheduled for Tuesday the 14th of March, kick-off 2 p.m. at the Sheffield United Academy. The Tottenham Hotspur women will be in action on Sunday afternoon in the Women's Super League. They will be travelling away to Liverpool. The kick-off time 2 p.m. Premier League legend, now TV pundit with Sky Sports, Jamie Carragher, has stated that he doesn't think that Mauricio Pochettino should go back to Spurs for a second spell as head coach. He said going back would be an acknowledgement of a mistake sacking him. He would have to restart in North London and every setback would lead to comparisons to when he initially took over. A report has just been published by the Daily Mail and they are stating that Tottenham are struggling to convince Thomas Tuchel to be their new manager, despite the ex-Chelsea boss being a Spurs fan, with Antonio Conte likely to leave in the summer after dismal Champions League exit. The report states, although Spurs have no immediate plans to sack Antonio Conte, he is expected to leave the club before the start of next season when his contract is due to expire. Now, Thomas Tuchel, the ex-Borussia Dortmund boss, 49, is thought to be keen on a return to England, according to the Sun newspaper. Thomas Tuchel was sacked by new owner Todd Boehly in September following Chelsea's 1-0 Champions League defeat to Dynamo Zagreb. In the report from the Daily Mail, it says Tottenham are reportedly struggling to convince Thomas Tuchel to be their new manager, despite the ex-Chelsea boss being a Spurs fan. Former Premier League midfielder, now TV pundit with Sky Sports, Paul Merson, has come out and said that Spurs should sack Antonio Conte now and appoint former boss Mauricio Pochettino. He said Pochettino is going to be appointed the manager of Tottenham in the summer, so why not go and get him now? There is no point messing around. What is the point in keeping Antonio Conte? Do you want to get in the top 4 or not? Spurs have just gone out of 2 competitions and it's been 15 years since their last trophy. He then went on to say, I really don't like to see managers get the sack as they're humans. But at the same time, you've got to shake things up. I would do it now. Spurs are a big football club and are currently going nowhere. Paul Merson then stated, for me, Pochettino should come on board as soon as possible. He could lift the players into the race for 4th spot and it could give him time to prepare for next season. It's such a win-win as Conte no longer looks like he wants to be at Spurs anymore. Now, my thoughts on these stories in this episode and, of course, on Antonio Conte's press conference on Friday. There is so much to talk about. Wow, what a week, what a couple of weeks it's been at Tottenham Hotspur. Of course, if you watch this or listen to this on a regular basis, you will know how disappointed I am by us going out of the FA Cup against Sheffield United. I felt, and I still feel, that what an opportunity we had to put a trophy in the cabinet. Antonio Conte would have gone down as a legend at the club if he had put a trophy in the cabinet this season. We chose a weaker team. We didn't take the FA Cup seriously. Very, very disappointing. The performance, the result, everything about that FA Cup defeat, absolutely gutting. A week later, out of the Champions League against AC Milan. Just the way that we set up, everything about those games. And of course, we had the Wolves game in between as well in the league. That was disappointing. We haven't scored a goal in 3 games. So lost 1-0 at Sheffield United out of the Cup. Lost 1-0 at Wolves. Although we're still 4th in the Premier League table. I'll come on to that in a minute. And then, of course, didn't score against AC Milan. And I think... Actually, I think I'm right in saying that we've registered 12 shots on target in those 3 games. We didn't create enough. We didn't give enough. And, you know, we're out of 2 cups in the matter of a week. It's so frustrating. And now, of course, it looks, you know, a dead cert that Antonio Conte is going at the end of the season. On Friday, he had his press conference. And he was asked very, very direct questions, and fair play to the journalists that asked him very direct questions. You know, do you want to be at the club? Do you actually want the job? And he avoided the questions. In his press conference on Friday, he has upset a lot of Tottenham Hotspur fans. I have absolutely no doubt that he would have upset some players as well of what he said. And I have absolutely no doubt whatsoever as well that he would have upset the board by some of the comments in those press conferences. I feel that most of the fan base now, I say most because I still know a few people that are fully behind Antonio Conte. I feel that I've lost patience with Antonio Conte. Going out of cup competitions is very, very important to me. And I felt that, as I've said many, many times, the FA Cup, what a glorious opportunity. We would have been playing Blackburn, you know, win that game, you're in the semi-final. You know, what an opportunity. And we just put out a weaker team, went out of the competition. But Conte's comments, I don't know actually how he's getting away with what he's saying in these press conferences at the moment. And as I said, I think the board would be very, very annoyed by a lot of things that he is saying. We have got 12 games to go in the Premier League. The best that we could hope for is to finish in a Champions League spot, to play Champions League football for whatever manager is in charge next season. In the last, 3-4 years, we've played Champions League football. We've played Europa League football under Jose Mourinho. We've played Europa Conference League football under Nuno Espirito Santo and a short time under Antonio Conte. And now, this season we've been playing the Champions League. We worked so hard. Like last season, we worked so hard to get that Champions League spot. 38 games, a long season, very up and down. We got there in the end. It was a good end to the season last season. Got in that 4th spot, playing Champions League football. And then, when you're in the Champions League, you've got to give absolutely everything. And can you really say, as a Spurs fan, did we give absolutely everything last Wednesday against AC Milan? Not a chance. We worked so hard to get in the Champions League. You've got to give everything when you're in this competition. It's so disappointing. I feel that we have gone round in circles for these last few years under various different managers, particularly since Pochettino was sacked in November 2019. I don't know whether it's going to be a good idea if Pochettino comes back, although I feel that he does deserve a chance at some point to come back. Is it the right time for him to return? Now, whatever manager comes in after Antonio Conte, I feel that they have to really, write a lot of questions down and put a lot of questions to the board about how they are going to be backed, what they are in charge of. Because, I was in Munich after the Champions League final. We had, the Audi Cup. It was the Audi Cup that we won, that we get bantered for. In the Audi Cup, Pochettino in the press conference come out and said, I am not the manager, I'm the head coach. Something clearly had changed from the Champions League final to that Audi Cup competition. Of course, he was sacked in November. I felt, and I've said this a million times, I felt that Pochettino had more than enough credit in the bank for what he achieved at the club. Not spending a penny in 518 days. I know I'm like a broken record saying these same facts over and over again. If you don't know that by now, then you haven't listened to this channel enough. But didn't spend a penny in all that time, took us to a Champions League final. I felt that he had more than enough credit in the bank to keep his job. Then, of course, we sacked Jose Mourinho 6 days before a cup final. Nuno should never have been appointed. But, having said that, it took us 72 days to appoint a manager. And then we get Conte in. I finally felt like we are getting somewhere. I finally felt like we're going to win a trophy and get over that line. But Conte has come out and said that the fans are impatient. We're expecting trophies and it's going to take time. It's going to take money. And I just I feel now that we've gone round in circles these last few years. Entertaining football. I ask all of my guests on all of my Spurs Chat podcast shows that I do, when was the last time you were properly entertained as a Spurs fan? Most people say since not since the Pochettino days. We played some great football under Pochettino. The football style has been very different under Jose Mourinho, under Nuno Espirito Santo, under Antonio Conte. I feel that when you're winning, you can get away with it. When you're not winning and it's boring games, you're not going to get away with it. Many people have asked me this week to do one of these longer updates, giving my thoughts. And I do feel that Antonio Conte's time at Spurs is up. I feel that he's upsetting a lot of people. The only time ever in the history of supporting the football club, for me personally, the only time I've ever called a manager out to say, I think it's time to go, and that was Nuno Espirito Santo. When the fans sung that famous song to him against Manchester United, his last game, you don't know what you're doing. I felt that there was no way back for Nuno Espirito Santo with the Spurs fans. And of course, that proved to be exactly that. And then the next day, Antonio Conte came in. But I think I agree with everything that Paul Merson said in the comments today. Sack Antonio Conte. It's going to cost about £4 to £5 million for Spurs to sack him. Many reports have come out, and I've read lots of reports about this story. If Spurs feel that we're not going to get top four, or even if we lose to Forest on Saturday, perhaps that they will then make that decision, because we all know the board make decisions that sometimes don't please a lot of people. Sacking Pochettino was a massive decision. Sacking Jose Mourinho 6 days before a cup final, a massive decision. I didn't agree with it at the time. I know a lot of people did. They wanted Jose Mourinho gone. But, for someone who's won trophies everywhere he's gone, give him the opportunity to win a cup final. The only one I did agree with is the Nuno one, being sacked. And then, of course, we've got Conte in. Talking about money spent, when you think back about transfer windows, the January transfer window when Kulusevski and Bentancur come in, fantastic window. The summer window, Richarlison has had a lot of injury problems, hasn't really been given a lot of game time when he has been fit. Heung-min Son has struggled, of course, so perhaps Richarlison should have been given a little bit more of an opportunity. Fraser Forster has probably played more games as a new signing in the summer window than anybody else. I know that's obviously by default of Hugo Lloris being injured. But when Antonio Conte has come out and said that Danjuma is a club signing, it doesn't help. I am absolutely baffled that Antonio Conte and Fabio Paratici are extremely good friends. It has been said, they have both said that they talk about football, they talk about Tottenham Hotspur every single day. They see each other and work with each other every single day. Why on earth is someone like Danjuma coming in if it is not an Antonio Conte signing? I have said many, many times that managers have to have so much input. I know this is part of the modern game now, but I feel like I'm a little bit old-fashioned that if you have a manager, you've got to have the players or bring the players in that the manager wants, that the manager feels that is going to suit his system and is going to work for him. It is very obvious. Jed Spence, he said a million times, it is a club signing. The club wanted to bring in Jed Spence. Of course, Jed Spence is now out on loan. Danjuma, being revealed today, he is a club signing. The club wanted to sign him. Antonio Conte didn't. That is exactly why he hasn't had game time. There is so much that needs to change at this football club. I know in one of the latest statements from the board, they admitted that the recruitment has been poor in previous windows. I could sit here all day long talking about bad recruitment in previous windows. Tongi Ndombele, Giovanni Lo Celso, of course, those two are the most obvious ones, £100 million between the two of them. But I just feel whatever happens next, whatever manager comes in next, there is so much to iron out before a manager is appointed. Everyone needs to know their responsibilities. Everybody needs to know what is being promised. I feel that the fans have been really let down in these last few years. I feel really let down in the fact that we haven't won a trophy in 15 years. I follow this club all over the place. All I want to see is success. I cannot believe, and I know I've said this so often, I cannot believe we are about to let Antonio Conte go, whether he's sacked, he leaves, whatever, that you go from Pochettino, Jose Mourinho, Antonio Conte, and we haven't won a single trophy under those three managers. Two proven managers, Conte and Jose Mourinho, who have both won trophies every single place that they have gone. And Jose Mourinho, of course, left without winning one. And Conte going to do exactly the same. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're watching this on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you're listening to this on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. Enjoy your weekend. I'll see you on the next one. Until then, come on you Spurs.